Welcome. My name is Mariusz Nowostawski, and I will be your host in introducing you to the Decentralized Systems Engineering Lab. So, who is the lab? Um, we have a number of founding fathers who set the lab up. My name is Mariusz. We have Su Xiang, who is currently in Helsinki in Finland, but he is a member of ED Jovic. We have Hao Wang, who is also an ED Jovic employee. We have Jinghua Li from Trondheim, from ISA, and Don Morrison from AIT, also from Trondheim. We also have a security expert and cyber range founder, Basil Kat from Jovic. So we are sort of a cross-unit group which is focusing on decentralization. So with the other groups, with the other labs, I mean, it is relatively straightforward. Everyone knows what mixed reality is, virtual reality, augmented reality systems, or what educational systems are for and how they work. With decentralization is a little bit, we may need to explain a little bit more. So I have prepared some definitions according to the World Health Organization, because they pay attention to some of the decentralization processes. And we can observe that decentralization is kind of a hot topic in political and decision-making discourse, such that a lot of social scientists are looking into different ways of participatory form of governance or some forms of decentralization. So the decentralization is sort of usually divided into three concepts. Deconcentration, where some of the decision-making powers are kind of split. Delegation, which is the transfer of some of the responsibilities to more autonomous units. And then devolution, which is basically directing all the responsibilities to local units or kind of fully autonomous units. And we see that in the kind of a governance layers happening in some of the countries and in some of the fiscal policies, for example, or financial systems. We also see that in the through the market economies and market decentralization. So those are kind of the more social technical aspects of what decentralization is. And we in particular are focusing on the technological decentralization. So in a pictorial form, you can see this three elements here. So we have a deconcentration of some sort of resource or some sort of service. We see that the service is delivered through a delegation of different responsibilities, and then maybe those delegated units are fully autonomous and independent, and there you'll have a full devolution of a decentralized system. So as I mentioned, it is kind of a hot discussion topic in governmental services, management, where the idea is to share managerial responsibilities between central government and kind of a local governing bodies. You do that also in the case of healthcare systems. So we see that World Health Organization is particularly interested in healthcare systems and decentralizations there, some requiring legal changes and some just requiring some policies or some adjustments. We do see that happening in educational systems and also in kind of innovation and research in development, but we also see that in technology layers. So for example, a lot of mobile and communication systems rely on decentralization technologies to operate, and that usually happens through establishment of open standards or standards which the independent suppliers or independent providers kind of adhere to, such that the overall system has the expected engineered properties. So in our context, we observe the kind of a transition from some of the centralized ways of doing things to more decentralized, and that is due to the technological developments and some of the advancements in technology. So for example, from a very concentrated centralized software engineering models, which are still common, we see an emergence of open source movement, and some very complex systems such as Linux kernel are being developed and organized in a very decentralized and democratized way. So the open source movement was kind of a founding block to establish some of the decentralization in the technology. And then if you combine it with some of the economical incentives and participatory incentives for stakeholders, you end up with some of the current blockchain projects. So for example, Bitcoin is an open source project, but it's different than the open source projects which happened before, because it involved economical incentives both for the participants who are using the software as well as the developers who are kind of developing it, and auxiliary services such as miners. So that creates kind of a very complex dynamical social technical system, which is different to traditional open source software, which didn't involve kind of economical incentives or staking kind of economical value. The recent innovations in that space is decentralized finance. So on top of blockchain technology, we can observe a plethora of different innovative solutions, ranging from stable coins to token economies to carbon trading, tokens, energy trading, and so on. So there is kind of a lot of innovation happening in the financial space, which has been triggered by those technological innovations in the technology layer. The recent aspect of that is a combination of technology with the ability to recognize things and personal identities, and that's what the democratization of digital identity is happening right now through some work on standardization as well as concepts related to self-sovereign identity systems. All right, so who we are, we have a kind of a shared expertise in various areas. So distributed and mobile systems, we all share some form of expertise in that. So the common theme, the decentralization or the distribution of services, is kind of common among all the participants in the lab. We are focusing on the distribution of artificial intelligence, communication and coordination, peer-to-peer networking, future systems like beyond 5 and 6G, autonomous communication protocols, edge computing, as well as some of the applications such as mobile augmented reality and mixed reality systems. So we share kind of a broad range of expertise in those areas. We have experts in cybersecurity, which is kind of foundational aspect of the decentralization technologies. So some of the crypto protocols and some of the cybersecurity layer is fundamental for consensus and for those systems to operate the way they are designed to. So we have experts working with Capture the Flag for cybersecurity education, measuring security, modeling security, checking the performance of security systems, looking into energy efficiency of some of the consensus algorithms, looking into the security of smart contracts and some of the second and third layers built on top of blockchain systems, looking into cross-chain dependencies or cross-chain security. So this is kind of the cybersecurity founding building block. Then we have machine learning, which is again fundamental for providing a necessary feedback loops into the system such that the system can be self-adapting and self-organizing. So again, here we have focus on distributed intelligence, supervised and unsupervised machine learning, some of the federated algorithms, federated learning algorithms, and so on. So some of the people who are here are sort of focusing on the machine learning aspects. under the umbrella of distributed and decentralized systems. So the next one is, which I've already mentioned, the blockchain and the distributed ledger technology. We are participating in some of the standardization efforts through the ISO standards and standards Norge initiatives, both in the blockchain space itself as in the fintech and decentralized finance. We also participating in some efforts in self-sovereign identity systems. We have ongoing projects as some members of the lab have ongoing projects in circular economy and supply chain management, and we are sort of interested in the aspects of the technological layer, enabling the blockchain technology to function. One area of that is cryptocurrencies, in particular privacy preserving cryptocurrencies. So we have ongoing projects with Norwegian and international law enforcement agencies. We are establishing relationships with the tax office as well. All those public groups are interested in tracking and tracing transactions, so following the money, because those privacy preserving technologies are making they are putting kind of participants of the decentralized economical systems at the center, and it's rather different to the traditional models which are enabling law enforcement to trace all the financial transactions. I mean, it is a little bit interesting because in the traditional systems, things are being recorded and can be traced, but you need special court orders and jurisdictional capabilities to extract that information. Here, the information is readily available, but the link between physical people and the information that is public, that link is kind of sometimes hard to establish. So we're working on some of the projects in that space in collaboration with Digital Forensics Group and with the Cyber Range. So the long-term goals for the lab is to investigate and build capabilities of how to design, architect, and implement and enable evolvement of decentralized systems. We want to share our experiences. We want to share the common themes that we all have in our research efforts. And we want to combine the expertise that we have to apply for research and development projects and do things more together. So the long-term goal is aligned with the focus on the engineering of decentralized systems in general. In the short term, we're preparing the announcements for the positions. So we will hire a postdoc for helping us to organize the labs, set up the hardware for staff and student experiments, identify the public sector and commercial partners that we can work with. Some of the relationships we already have established, we will grow those relationships, and we will work towards us, setting up research proposals. So in summary, if I need to kind of summarize what the lab is for, it's focusing on how to engineer complex decentralized systems, and it has kind of three pillars. One is based on the complex software and sometimes hardware systems with the open source and open source firmware focus and software engineering and software development methodologies. The second one is the engineering, which kind of mixes social technical aspects. So what makes those complex decentralized social technical systems possible? How those decentralized and distributed systems work, how they self-organize, how they relate to the technology layer, for example, in 5G and 6G networks, how that enables decentralized finance and cryptocurrencies and what it means for the policymakers and compliance, for example. And then the security aspects, which are kind of foundational for the crypto layers and for the crypto protocols. So this is sort of my 15 minutes. Thank you very much.